Okay, we ready?
Just about. Let's go.
So we're on episode 10. This time I've got Shane on the episode. Shane would like to speak about some of the live shows that he's collected over time. In particular, you know, some of the Bon Jovi shows that have obviously happened previously, I suppose, from this tour and other times. Because from what I've just gathered speaking to him, he doesn't really listen to a lot of the studio stuff. He prefers the live shows. He thinks it's a bit more vibrant, which is quite different, really. You don't really hear many people say that they listen to the live shows more than the studio. So this is going to be a different podcast, really, where we speak about mainly just the live performances of the band. So Shane, I'll let you introduce yourself, and then we'll get going with some questions.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit different. I'm Shane. I'm from America, as you can tell. I think I'm the first American guest, which is cool. I'm really weird as a Bon Jovi fan. I got into Bon Jovi on the What About Now tour. That's when I saw them for the first time in March of 2015. It was actually the second to last show that Richie played on that tour. So I consider myself to be lucky in that regard. They played for 3 hours. Knowing as much as I do about their live sets now, it was a fairly standard set list. But they won me over, just like all of you, I suppose. And I've been obsessed essentially ever since.
That's interesting, that, because obviously I don't know too many people who went to the What About Now tour and got into the band, because for a lot of us diehards, that was like the turning point. That album and that tour were kind of the turning point where they lost a lot of fans. One, obviously, because Richie wasn't there for the majority of the shows, and two, because the album was pretty poor, or certainly, you know, it wasn't as good as previous. And then John began to lose his vocals. So it's interesting that don't get me wrong, I went to see 4 shows on that, or 3 or 4 shows, and I didn't dislike any. But it's interesting that yourself got into the band, like you got into the band from that tour. Was there a reason in particular, like, that they won you over?
To be fair, it was in March, so Richie was still there, and the set lists at the beginning of the What About Now tour were fairly decent. They remind me a little bit of the Circle. Not early in the Circle when they had roulette and all that shit. I'm sad to miss that. But they still played some acoustic stuff. They did some jukebox medleys and Bad Medicine. So it was just, it wasn't anything that I had seen before in a live band. I didn't see a lot of concerts back then. My dad was the one who got me into Bon Jovi. And he took me to a lot of classic rock shows. So I'd seen like Def Leppard and Heart and AC/DC and those groups. And Bon Jovi didn't perform the way that they did. Those guys, those other bands, they went off the cuff and assumed that you knew their music. And obviously that's a fair assumption because people pay to see those bands. I didn't know their music. And so I was like, well, that was a hell of a show, but I didn't really know much of it. Bon Jovi drew me in on a deeper level. They of course, obviously you have so much more fun when you know the music, but they branched out in a lot of ways. They took some of the music down. They played Someday I'll Be Saturday Night acoustic. They played covers. They did old time rock and roll at that show. I think they did another one. They had 3 encores. That was never heard of before. That was something I'd never seen in a show. So it was really legendary.
So how much of how familiar was you with the band before you went to see them then on the What About Now tour? Had you listened to any albums before?
I was the average guy. I knew like Bad Name and Prayer and Wanted and Bad Medicine. And that was pretty much it.
So you were fairly new to the band then, I suppose.
Oh yeah.
Well, so when you went to see them, like, obviously, as I said, for us diehards, like, a lot of us come away from the What About Now tour, or even, as I said, the album, like the cycle of the tour and the album, and we kind of left a little bit disappointed, and then we knew it was time for the band to have a decent break in that. So like what sold you in the show? Was it John's vocals? Was it Richie's harmonies? Was it just the production of the show? Obviously, you've mentioned the set list and how they strip certain songs down and done, you know, covers and acoustics, which I think is fantastic for bands to do, because too many bands just do their own songs. I do like that Bon Jovi mix it up a bit in that sense. But what was it like? What was it from like a listening perspective that got you hooked on the band?
It was probably, if I had to pinpoint a single thing, it was the energy exchange.
Okay.
Which sounds kind of odd, but it was the first time I'd been in a crowd and I could feel the crowd feeding off of the band and the band getting stronger and tighter as they realized that the crowd was liking what they were doing.
Yeah.
It was very, it was not driven by one or the other. It was really mutual, and everyone was having a hell of a good time. John was energetic. The harmonies were beautiful. I still think that Richie will forever be a better singer than John, as long as he's sober. And I don't know. Honestly, I couldn't pinpoint one thing beyond that.
Have you been to see the band since what about now?
Twice in 2017, yeah.
Okay. And what did you think about that show? Obviously,
that was hard.
Okay,
that was really hard to see.
Because you've got no Richie, obviously.
Yeah, Richie goes away. John's voice goes away.
Yeah.
I intentionally didn't look at the set lists for the This House Is Not For Sale tour. I saw them in Nashville and in Indianapolis.
Okay.
In 2017, and so I was going in. I went with a friend of mine, and I told him, he was like, "Lay Your Hands on Me" is my favorite Bon Jovi song. I said, "Man, they didn't play that song all of 2013. They played it a little bit in The Circle, a little bit. They didn't play in Lost Highway. They didn't play in Have a Nice Day. I don't think you're going to get Lay Your Hands on Me. I'm sorry, they're not going to play it." 18 songs into it, they played it, and I flipped my shit. I lost it.
Well, that like as I've said before on the podcast, I've seen the band 8 times and I've never heard "Lay Your Hands on Me" live.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I've never heard it. They've played it at like a couple of shows. So I went to see
You'll
them.
Probably hear it in the summer.
Well, yeah, when I went to see them in 2003, if I'm not mistaken, the next show they played it, and the same happened in 2011. I went to see them, and the next night they played it again. So I'm yet to see it live, to be honest.
Which shows did you see?
So in 2003, I went to see them in Manchester. So in 2003, 2006, 2008, and 2011 were Manchester.
Okay.
And then 2013, I went to see them in Manchester, Dublin, and London. And then I seen them
nice.
Do one of the promo shows for This House Is Not For Sale in London as well. And then I'm going to 4 shows this tour in the summer.
Very nice. Yeah, I'm flying to Europe in July. I'm going to go see the show in Munich and Madrid.
Oh, so you're getting to see Def Leppard?
Yes.
Oh, you lucky thing.
Yeah, they're good. I like Def Leppard a lot.
I was hoping that like we've got the Manic, like the shows that I'm seeing are the Manic Street Preachers as the support band. But they're fairly big over here as well, to be fair. But Def Leppard was a shock, I must admit.
Yeah, I really want to know how much time they'll let Def Leppard play.
Yeah.
And how much time, because the reason that Munich was a priority for me is because the show in Munich, Germany, for the past 5 tours has been really legendary. Even in 2013, they played for 3 hours and 10 minutes in Munich.
Wow.
Those shows have always been very, very good.
Yeah, the art of Munich has, to be fair.
Pardon?
Munich always gets like a long show. I think John's a big fan of Munich, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see the city, and I'm excited to see if they keep that up.
Yeah.
Because this is something I wanted to ask you about, having been a fan for a long time, because I didn't get to experience this, but a lot of diehards have been talking about how John doesn't have a lot of empathy for the fans, and there's not a lot of compassion and the ticket prices are getting crazy, and John doesn't like the fans anymore. Can you explain this to me?
The thing is now, I think because record sales aren't the same, no band, certainly from the 80s anyway, are gonna sell albums like they used to. So I think now, like with streaming and that, I think the money is from from tours. I think that's where bands make the money. I think that's why Bon Jovi go on tour so much, and other bands, the bands like Take That and everything else who are also doing a tour in the summer. The band have been putting the prices up for a while, and I don't know if you've ever seen it. When they were over here in 2009, I want to say, they were on a TV show, a daytime TV show, and one of the hosts kind of put John on the spot and was like, "Your fans are very angry about the prices." And John pretended that he had no idea what he was saying. He was like, "I don't know how much the prices are and stuff." It's obviously does. Yeah, he clearly knows how much a ticket's going for.
Mr. Quarterback.
Yeah, he definitely knows how much. And it's as much as I disagree, like, on the prices. If you go and see, as I said, Take That are playing Anfield as well, the prices are exactly the same. It's just how it is now. Unfortunately, I wouldn't necessarily say it's Bon Jovi being. I wouldn't say it's John being disrespectful to fans, but it's certainly, it just has a sour taste in the mouth when he plays songs like "Work for the Working Man," I find, and charges 120 quid for the ticket.
Oh, yeah. And that's what I was thinking about. I was reading a blog the other day that mentioned that song specifically, and it didn't even cross my mind how hypocritical that was.
Yeah,
but at the same time, when I saw them in Nashville in 2017. I got the cheapest ticket on the list because I was in school at the time. I didn't have a lot of cash to go around, and I got more expensive seats for Indianapolis. That ticket was $15. $15.
Wow.
It was like probably in the last 10 rows of that 20,000 person arena, but I got a ticket for $15 to see Bon Jovi. I was shocked.
Jeez, that's like, I mean, closer to the time, closer to when the band are going to start coming over here, you'll see things like Groupon where they're selling tickets for 10, 15 quid as well. That's happened on the last couple of tours, if I'm not mistaken. So
it's Ticketmaster though, so I was shocked.
Oh, really? Was it on Ticketmaster?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I've never heard that. Like, I've never heard them be that cheap there.
Yeah, it was really crazy. I got I don't remember. I really splurged on tickets this time. I'm 8th row in Madrid, and I don't remember. I'm on the, I want to say I'm 30 or 40 back in Munich.
Right.
And those 2 tickets for 2 shows were, I think, $650.
Jeez.
Altogether,
yeah.
Which is crazy high.
It adds up.
Oh yeah, it does.
Like I'm in the same boat as yourself. I mean, I don't think, man. I've got Gold Circle for every show, but I don't.
Shit.
Yeah, but I don't think like I think they probably came to, for all of them. I think it probably was worked out at about 400 or 500 quid maybe.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think it was much more. I might be wrong, but I'm certain.
Not actually as bad as I expected.
I think in Dublin, I think it was like 90 quid a ticket maybe. So like it was a bit cheaper in the Dublin show than it was here. So that kind of evened it out.
So that could be it.
Say it again.
They've got 2 nights in Dublin, so they could be cutting it down.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I remember when I seen them in Slane, and it was 90 quid a ticket as well. So whether they just haven't put the prices up, but I've just been looking there actually, because obviously you went, as you said, you went to the Nashville and Indianapolis shows. Yeah. So I've just had a look at the set list there. In Nashville, you got 7 new songs, and in Indianapolis, you got 8 new songs. That's quite unheard of now. You can tell that was quite early on in the tour that you went to see them.
Oh yes. Yeah. They didn't do that stuff. They only played that many in early 2017. Once you got into the South American stuff later in the year, and then of course on, they didn't give near as much attention to the new record.
Well, I mean, I'm counting We Don't Run as one of the new ones anyway, because it's still a fairly, you know, I know it was on Burning Bridges, but it got put on the new album as well, so I'll count
If I may, if they open any concert with We Don't Run, I really, you know, as long as it's about 2.5 hours, if they open a show with We Don't Run, it's going to be a good show.
Yeah, I mean, that would be, I think, like, I'd love them to open with that, because I think the band, you know, obviously doing the woes at the start would be fantastic. And John seems to enjoy singing that song.
Yeah, it does. The band sounds really solid.
But then I've just compared the new songs to the Sydney show, which I think was the last show of the tour, or one of the last shows in 2018, and they only got 4 new songs.
Yeah.
And it just shows, like, I mean, but that's always been, it's always been like that with Bon Jovi. They start off and they'll play 7 or 8 new songs, and then play less, and it ends up. That's why I think people get a little bit peed off with them, because they do drop the new songs and play the same stuff over and over again.
Yeah, it's that, and well, what I noticed was I went with my father to the Indianapolis show where there were 8 new songs, and I loved it. I mean, I didn't think I wanted more rare stuff. If I could hear them sing "Wild Is the Wind" live just one time, I'd be happy. Or Garageland, that's the one I really would like.
Yeah,
it's low.
I'm lucky. I've heard Garageland. I'm lucky.
Ah, you bastard. Yeah, John could sing Garageland, I think.
I got that on the What About Now tour in 2018. I got that at Manchester.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I stand corrected. Garageland is a little bit high for him now, although they can drop it a house.
Exactly. I mean, we can say that this song and that song are high for him, but he still plays "Living on a Prayer" every night, which is one of the hardest songs in the catalogue. So
that's true. Frankly, I don't even know why he still tries to sing "In These Arms" when everybody would rather David Bryan.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the "In These Arms" is very flat. Like, that's too slow, I think.
Oh.
Very, very slow.
Yeah, he's rough on that one. I think the shows, especially in America, I think it would go well in Europe, but I think the Americans would love it if they let Phil sing AC/DC covers like he did in Australia.
Yeah, I know. I mean, especially with him being, and I say this, but being an official member now, you'd think that John would give him a bit of it, like, you know, a song or two, especially with John's vocals now. Give David a song, give Phil a song if they need to, or, you know, do a little acoustic section in the middle where you're not straining and things like that. So, like,
in Toronto. Sorry, go on.
No, go on, mate.
So, in 2017 they released all of the North American stuff in 2017 as official soundboard recordings.
Right. Yeah.
And I bought all of them, and I didn't realize this actually until 2 years later, but they actually let Phil sing the second verse of "Wanted."
They did,
at both of the Toronto shows.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Really? Yeah. Again, I don't know why. I mean, I can't really remember. I've obviously listened to it, but I can't remember what I thought of it, in all honesty. But again, it makes you wonder why John's dropped that. Did it not go down well? Did he think, you know, Phil didn't sound good to me? I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why he hasn't. I don't know why he stopped that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it really baffles me. I really don't understand. I was thinking, I got sidetracked. The story that I was going to tell was in Indianapolis, we got the 8 new songs.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for the band to win, honestly, because I enjoyed the new stuff, but I wanted more of the rare old stuff. I went with my father, and he hated the whole concert.
Wow.
He hated all of it. Yeah, he did. Because he didn't like any of the new stuff. He came for the 80s stuff. And so, while both of us were like, really, whole lot of leaving. Again, come on.
Yeah.
He was like, why can't we hear Raise Your Hands even?
Yeah.
Never Say Goodbye acoustic or something. Like.
And that's a question all of us ask, really. The band still insists, or John still insists on playing as you said, Whole Lot of Leaving or Lost Highway, or even
I like Lost Highway. I think Lost Highway is a great song. I think A Whole Lot of Leaving is a great song. Really, I do.
I don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind Whole Lot of Leaving studio. I've always been a fan of it there, but God, live it just drains the life out of me for some reason.
Yeah.
But that just seems to be the trend with the band, unfortunately. As you say, well, I mean, I know they've got a massive catalogue, so we're all going to have, why didn't they play this? Why didn't they play that? But some of the choices they do make is just a bit, because as you said, there's 8 new songs there. Now, let's be honest, how many of the crowd actually even know the new stuff, let alone the rare stuff that we want? There's probably not that much difference. So why doesn't he, do like for like, do a play, I don't know, Something for the Pain, as you said, acoustic, and then play Living with the Ghost, and then play Love for Sale, and you know what I mean, do a rare one, do a new one. If you're going to play stuff that people don't even know.
That's a good point. I never thought of it that way.
The
other one that I tweeted John, I don't know why, there's not much of a point, but I tweeted John and David with the suggestion of 99 in the Shade. Just because it's a New Jersey is probably my favorite Bon Jovi record as a whole.
Yeah.
And that song, it was played probably less than 5 times live. Back in the beginning of the Jersey tour in '88, and then they kind of retired it. And I think it would be a great tune to play.
Yeah.
It's not high. Well, it's not high for John a couple of years ago. It might be high for him now, but everything is high for John now.
See, again, I know, as I said there, we've already compared. I get that songs are high, but tone it down, do an acoustic, like Something for the Pain in 2010 was, or Santa Fe even, the Santa Fe is probably higher than any other Bon Jovi song, but he played it acoustic and it sounded great. So, we would all be happy if we seen it on a set list.
Absolutely.
They're a bit frustrating, I think, with the set list, aren't they?
Yeah, they really are. and imagine how cheated I feel coming in at the end of March of 2013.
It's true. Yeah.
I get to see all of the great set lists that everyone else got to see.
Exactly. That's what I mean. It's very rare that you get to see that. I've heard someone recently has got into the band since What About Now. That's rare, but to be honest with you, that's nice to hear. That's good to hear, because at least the band still have relevance to new people.
I mean, I'm still in college. I'm a young person. I love the band. I'm always trying to get more people into Bon Jovi.
So how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 19.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm young, yeah.
Oh, it's good. I mean, I'm only 25, to be honest with you. But I've been a fan since I was 7 or 8. Or 6 or 7. Sorry.
I listened to some of the stuff when I was very little, in my dad's car on my way to school. But I of all things, I started listening to rap music for probably 5 or 6 years. Yeah, it was atrocious.
To be honest, I went through the same type of phase when I was growing up. I was into. I still always, Bon Jovi was still always my favourite band, and I listened to them every day. But I started listening to what was current, and now I can't even listen to it.
Oh no,
I find it hard. Yeah, I do find it very difficult now. So just before we went on air, obviously you were saying that you do listen to the live shows a lot more. So when I did play the studio game, you said that it was just hard for you to play it because you didn't know the snippet game. Sorry, it was hard for you to listen to join in because you didn't really know any of the songs. So how often do you actually listen to studio stuff by the band?
I listen to studio stuff in a couple of cases. I listen to studio stuff when there isn't a really good recording of a live song Right Side of Wrong comes to mind, or even there are some very good record. There was a live release through BonJovi.com of Wild Is the Wind from the O2 a few years ago, which is good. But I like the studio version better because you can hear Richie really very clearly.
Yeah.
As well, and that's something that's really important to me. I was saying off air, I love to hear the backing vocals. That's really important to me, and that's why I like the live stuff a lot. Because, as I said earlier, Richie sings far better than John, in my opinion. John will forever be the better frontman, but Richie's vocal, I think it kept John on point, and it also accented the song really, really well.
So, like, obviously, you're saying there that, you know, Richie, you know, and we all know it is a fantastic backing vocalist for John. So obviously, when you seen them in 2013, that you got to see the band. So, what did you think of the difference when you went to see them in 2017 to 2013?
I wasn't surprised because I had seen John's deterioration through 2013. I was watching shows, I was watching the webcasts and things people were putting on YouTube, and so I wasn't surprised as much by the fact that the backing vocals sounded weaker. When Richie left, all of the vocals deteriorated a little bit, in my opinion.
Yeah.
John, very, very noticeably. But even with Phil, who comes in, he still wavers on a lot of notes that Richie is able to hold. And he's not as confident, I think, on the backing vocals. He's starting to fill that role a little bit more. But you still hear Hugh wavering a lot more, I think. David is pretty steady, I like a lot. But he's lower in the mix. It's hard to hear him.
But David really had to step it up, hasn't he? Because he's obviously, I'd say he's much more of the backing vocalist than Phil is.
True.
So David really had to step up since halfway through 2013. The What About Now tour to step in for Richie. He is missed, like, on the live shows, and we'll get onto it now. But one, you know, the one time that I really felt that I missed him from 2018 when he left was the Hall of Fame show a year ago. That was when, from 2013, I just wasn't bothered by him at all. I kind of fell out of. I never stopped being a fan, but I stopped caring about him. I didn't really follow him off as much because I was just a bit. He'd bailed on the band a few times, or, you know, had to go wherever he had to for whatever reason. But it was only when I watched the Hall of Fame last year, and then obviously I've watched it recently again, just how much he has missed in that band. And I think it brings the best out of John, seeing Richie with him.
Absolutely.
Like John, playing that Hall of Fame, how many times have we seen the band in the last, let's say, 10 years, 15 years, do a performance on TV, and John's quite static, whereas he was moving around in the Hall of Fame show, and I think it was because he felt like he could relax a bit more with Richie being there.
I think so. They hold each other up in a lot of ways, and I've always said that Richie kept John's vocals on point. I feel like this could be me overanalyzing, but I think that Richie's vocal prowess, in a way, was motivation for John to keep himself in shape.
Yeah.
Vocally.
Well, together, like people have said before, it like they're magical together, they're perfect together. Richie's voice and John's voice fit so perfect, more than, for me, in my opinion, more than any other band.
I completely agree.
And the one song where I really realised just how much, not only John, but how much the band miss Richie was "It's My Life" at the Hall of Fame.
Oh my gosh, that was rough.
Yeah, but Richie was fantastic.
And his solo work. Well, I was surprised that Richie's solos were faltering a lot.
Well, his solo on "It's My Life," his guitar solo was terrible on "It's My Life." It sounded nothing like it.
Yeah, it was.
But his backing vocals were fantastic. and he really stood out on that song, and that was where I was like, God, I missed that harmony. I missed that. Like John will finish a line and you can still hear Richie sing it, and I was like, that's what I like. I missed that.
Yep.
There's no like, and I was saying this on episode 9 on the podcast to Andy, who was on episode 9. Even though people are saying now that John Shanks is John's right hand man, there is absolutely no chemistry with him on stage at all.
No way.
But Richie, there was more in them 4 songs on the Hall of Fame. There was more chemistry with Richie from John than there has been in the whole 2006-2019 period of John and John Shanks. I think literally in just them 4 songs, 12-15 minutes, and it just shows just how much not only does John need him, but I also think Richie needs John.
Oh, I completely agree. I think John brings out the best in Richie because he's always sounded his best, in my opinion, when he was with Bon Jovi. His vocal is clearer, it's smoother. I love his solo work, but especially recently after the European stuff in 2014, he really went downhill. Richie did as a front man and as a vocalist. And Bon Jovi, I think, is what he needs to stay sharp.
Yeah, definitely.
If you believe it or not, my favorite song from the Hall of Fame performance was "When We Were Us."
Oh, geez, what?
Yeah, but hear me out. Hear me out. First of all, I'm going off of the unedited version. I've seen the unedited Hall of Fame where they haven't doctored John's vocal or anything like that. And you hear Richie a lot more clearly in that version.
Yeah.
And if you pay attention to the lyrics and you hear John and Richie singing those lyrics, writing every page together, those days would last forever, that's super poignant.
Oh, God, yeah. Like, even I must admit, even when I listened to the studio version of it, I did from the off, because obviously we knew it was written for the Hall of Fame. So from the off, I got the John and Richie, like it was John's way of saying things are always going to be there type thing. But I find it hard. I don't know whether I find it hard to listen to or I find it hard to watch John sing it. I can't put my finger on what it is, because to be honest with you, and I think I may have said this on another podcast, I actually think When We Were Us is quite a difficult song to sing. Certainly the chorus, because it doesn't let him breathe, and it's almost a little bit too high for his capabilities now. And if I can't sing for anything, but even when I try and sing it, I actually find it harder than I do Living on a Prayer or Bad Name or something like that.
I think that was a place where Richie's harmony kept him grounded again. Because I rarely sing lead, but I sing backing vocals every now and then.
Okay.
And I've realized in that dynamic, because I do a lot of music work up in Boston, here in the States. Vocalists play off of each other. If there is a moment of hesitation, either in the lead or in the backing vocal, it will throw off the other person, because if you're not completely in sync and you don't have that trust in each other, you'll miss notes and it really gets to you in a way. It's relying on the other person as much as it is relying on your own voice. And so Richie, I think, brought John's stability back. And if those guys sang When We Were Us probably 4 or 5 nights in a row, I think they'd have it down.
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
I think they'd sound better on it.
Yeah.
Because Richie sounded great.
Yeah. He is still a very good vocalist, Richie.
It needed them.
So obviously, you were saying that that live shows is your thing. So, what would you say is the best show that you've listened to? Not so much that you've been to, but what was the, you've stuck a live performance on your laptop or your PC or your TV, whatever. What show has really got you?
That's a tough one. I'll tell you a really good one, because it's sometimes it changes from day to day. But a show that really stuck out to me as being a really amazing fantastic show when I watched it was the second night in Sydney, Australia, 2010.
Right. Okay. Good choice, to be honest.
Stadium.
Yeah.
It was a 3-hour show. There were some really great set list choices, a lot of rare stuff. John was interacting with the crowd. He read signs. He took requests. There were several encores. There were some really, really great surprises. And Richie sang Homebound Train. How do you get better than that? How do you beat that? Seriously.
Yeah.
You cannot beat that.
Well, here's a little story for you and to anyone who's going to be listening to this. I work as a personal trainer. I'm from Liverpool, obviously, and I'm a personal trainer. And I'd say about 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago, I was in work one Saturday morning, and I had a brand new client start. And one question I always ask, like certainly because I train people from who were kids all the way up to adults, so this was an adult. And one thing I always try and speak about, because obviously you're trying to get to know them, so one question I always ask is, what music are you into? So this lady started saying, you know, a couple of bands that she went to see, and she mentioned Bon Jovi, and I was like, okay. I was like, where did you see them? And I was expecting, you know, Manchester or London or Dublin or whatever. And she went, I went to see them up in Sydney. I was like, Sydney? And she was like, yeah, I went to see them in Sydney in 2010. Well, that made me even more. I was just like, you got to see Homebound, you got to see Something to Believe in. I just started, she had no idea what these songs were, but I just started naming song after song, because them shows have always stuck out for me. And to actually speak to somebody, because it was the night, remember when John was singing Hallelujah and he put his arms out and it just pissed down on him. It was that performance that she went to see. And I was like, you got to witness that part. That's like, because I've got that on a photo in my room. I was like, that's one of my favourite moments ever of the band. She had no idea what I was going on about, but it made me so jealous.
Wow, yeah, I can only imagine seeing shows like that. There are a few shows really that are like that I envy anyone who was able to see them. Those 3 nights in Sydney were really amazing. They're on YouTube. Look them up.
Yeah,
they're so good.
They're fantastic. Yeah, absolutely amazing shows. All 3 of them. But she didn't even plan. She just went to. I don't know if she's got family there, but she didn't even have a ticket originally. It was just kind of on the day. She was like, "Ah, yeah, come on, we'll go." And then she got to witness.
Wow. How do you do that? How do you just say, "Oh yeah, I guess I'll go to
exactly.
a Bon Jovi concert"?
But that, for me, them shows are one of the best shows in the last 10, 15, 20 years.
Oh yeah.
So
no argument about it.
Some people are just really very, very lucky, let's say.
Yeah, my God. This is why I'm jealous of long-term fans, because I just wish that I could see a show.
Yeah.
I'm going into Munich this July with not even the hopes of a good set list, as much as I'm hoping for a longer than average set list.
Yeah, like I don't know what to think about the European tour, because I know obviously John enjoys Europe. He does bring out rarities, let's say, when he comes to Europe. But the band have changed in the last 6 years since they came here, so I just don't know what to expect. Part of me, in the back of my mind, you obviously think, oh, his voice is going to be better. He's got 6 months left. He's gonna, sound much better. But I actually think he sounds worse now than he did in 2017. I think his voice has deteriorated even more.
It's weird to me, because it's gotten stronger. Sometimes it's stronger and sometimes it's weaker. And it's super unpredictable. I can never tell on a given night how he's going to sound or what kind of mood he's going to be in. I've recently been reading a lot of articles and interviews where the reporter goes into the room with him and he's like mumbling, and the way they portray him is almost as if he's kind of out of it, and he comes back to himself, and he's just from everything that I've been reading, he's become kind of antisocial in some ways. It's really disheartening. because they say never meet your heroes, but it's always been a dream of mine.
Oh, same, yeah.
To get in touch somehow, or because I mean, obviously they've changed my life. They're the soundtrack to my life. For the past 6 years, they have been, and they will be for the foreseeable future. And so it's like, but he's heard that story so much. It's when you start to add in that kind of personal connection, myself at least, I start to wonder why it would even matter to him.
Oh, of course, yeah, and
because he seems so disconnected now.
Yeah, he is. He's definitely. I mean, I think I don't know whether I'd say he's more connected now than he was 6 years ago, 7 years ago, whatever. But because I think I think John kind of is a bit more relaxed in the sense if the band do something wrong, he doesn't give them what we call the stink eye. He doesn't, shout at them. Because when I seen him in London, Phil X made a mistake, and John went ballistic at him. Ballistic.
I read an interview recently with Phil X where he talked about how he misread the set list and John counted into Born to Be My Baby and Phil started Lost Highway. And you were at this show, so can you describe what happened to me? Because I haven't mentioned this up to this point actually, but I listen to a lot of shows, but I'm blind, so I can't see any of them. So I don't know anything about the band's visual whole. I don't know their visual prowess.
Well, I'll be honest, on that London show, obviously, I was at it, but I got let down because a guy, I was going to call him a friend there, but he won this competition, this guy on the Bon Jovi Talk Twitter. So obviously this is 6-7 years ago. Sorry. He won a competition, and it was 2 gold circle tickets to see Bon Jovi at Hyde Park. Now, I originally wasn't going to Hyde Park, but he messaged me and was like, listen, and I was speaking to him every day. He was like, listen, I've got 2 tickets. You fancy going with me? So I was like, yeah. And I knew a couple of friends already going. So I was lucky that they let me stay with them. But I left them to go and meet this guy. And anyway, he didn't answer his phone, and his phone was switched off. And he said that he left it with stewards. Left me a text saying he left it with stewards. So I was looking around, and obviously no one was going to give me a random guy a ticket. So I was stood outside Hyde Park about half an hour before the band come on stage with no ticket. My good friends who I met up in London with were already in the Diamond Circle. So my frame of mind when I got a ticket from a tout outside, I was just fuming. So I didn't actually enjoy the show half as much as I would. So I remember when, to go back on track, I remember seeing John kind of have a little go at Phil X, but nothing in particular. Like, I didn't think any more about it. It was only when I watched it back, and he literally he either picks up like a guitar pick, or he picks up something off the floor and like waves it in Phil's face and goes mad. And it's embarrassing. Wow. It's really embarrassing. And that's the side that I hate about John. But as I said, I'd say 2016 onwards, he's definitely stopped that. Because there's been a couple of mistakes that you hear at a show, and he kind of laughs it off. Because, and if he was to have a go, bloody hell, the amount of times that David or Tico should scream at him for sounding the way he does. Do you know what I mean? Like, it can't be one rule for one and one for the other. So I think John's got it obviously realised now, and I think he has that. Just take everything with a pinch of salt. You are in a live setting; things don't always go to plan.
Right. So was this during the song that he was waving the pig?
Yeah.
While he was singing?
So the music, I think they kicked in for Born to Be My Baby, so it was like the na 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 na, like that part at the start.
Yeah.
And he was just going mental, absolutely mental at him. It only lasted 3, 4, 5 seconds, something like that, but it was enough that a lot of people picked up on it.
Wow. That's crazy.
As I said, at the time, I remember seeing him wave something, but I was so far back that I couldn't really make out, and I didn't pick up that Phil X had started a totally different song. I didn't pick up on that. So, as I said to me, and as I said, I wasn't really into that show because I was just, I was raging. But when I watched it back, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was thinking, bloody hell, this guy's come into to actually, like, if it wasn't for Phil, there probably wouldn't even be a show happening. So
just cancel the tour.
Yeah, just chill out, John.
Seriously. You mentioned mistakes and glitches that have happened, and I was looking at the Bon Jovi Talk Twitter the other day, and I saw something about the amps cutting out at a gig in Uncasville, Connecticut, and I was really, really intrigued by this. So I looked it up, and I found the video, and a friend of mine actually recorded that show as well. And I think it's really interesting because for anyone who hasn't seen it, what happened was it was like the band were playing on top of the studio version of the song. And so John was singing. You could hear John clearly singing, but you could hear the studio vocal as well. You could hear everything really clearly from you could separate the live version and the studio version. And I wanted to bring that up because I'm really curious about it. I've been trying to think about how that happened because I saw 2 shows on that tour. I've listened to a lot more shows from that tour, and you never hear, if John were lip syncing to that vocal, you would hear that studio vocal more, but you don't hear the raspy studio vocal. You only hear John. And it's different every time, because of the way that his voice is failing. You can tell that it's different. And so my theory about that, just in case anyone was curious, it must be the case that to hold those pitches now, my theory is that John has that playing through his monitors or something, so that he can sing to himself in a sense.
Possibly.
But
I've heard a couple of different stories on this performance. To be honest with you, you're talking about this house is not for sale, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard numerous. Matt apparently came out and said something. I mean, as I said, as I've said on a couple of podcasts, I'm blocked by Matt, so I don't see any of his tweets. So I don't even know if this is a recent tweet or it was back when it happened, but. Yeah, Matt said something about the playback during like the sound testing part or something, and someone had flicked it on by accident, something along them lines. But
that would make more sense.
But I'm with you, to be honest with you. I'm more with you. I think it's more John, as you said, kind of has this playing to himself, or the band have it playing, and John singing along to that, as you said.
If it clears it up any, I'm actually tempted to believe Matt's account of it, and the reason why is because I collect a ton of Bon Jovi live concerts. I'm in the bootleg scene, and so there are people who take recorders and they wirelessly intercept the monitors from the band, and they record the direct in-ear monitor feeds that the band are receiving. A lot of people, this is a really controversial way of recording. I don't do it myself, but it's very controversial. A lot of people like it because it sounds really good. A lot of people don't like it because it's kind of an invasion and you get to hear the things that aren't meant for the crowd. I personally don't record it because it's a lot of work and I'd rather enjoy the show. But I was listening to one of these from the Japanese shows. They both in-ear monitor recordings came out from both of the Japanese shows because in Japan they're really crazy about recording concerts. And I didn't hear any of that studio vocal. I didn't hear any trace of the studio vocal or the studio version of This House Is Not For Sale or any other track. So I'm actually tempted to believe Matt in this case.
I'm going to have a little, I'm just going through my Twitter now because somebody gave me an explanation as to what Matt had put on the Bon Jovi Talk Twitter. So I'm just trying to...
okay. I'd like to hear it. Sure. I also, it's a shame that you've forgotten why Richie blocked you on Twitter because I am quite curious.
Yeah, do you know what? A part of me thinks, if you remember, I
You
want
asked him about his breakfast, was that it?
about his breakfast. It definitely wasn't that one. I definitely didn't have something that bad. No, do you know?
The number one soul brother having
If I'd be more disappointed that he actually never replied to that fantastic question, to be honest with you. No, it was something he done a performance. Here it is. Sorry, just to go back. Yeah, so apparently that the amps went down, the music carried on, and the vocals carried on, and then somebody said that Matt had said that when they reset the lighting for the songs during sound check, they use a track to do that instead of the band playing the song. So basically, when they're testing out the lights, obviously sometimes the band aren't there, so they'll play a studio track rather than a live track. And that's why when the lights went on, that came on as well, more out of force of habit, I presume. That again, that's another story that I've heard. So I mean, but that
the only
one's
thing that doesn't make sense about that, and I guess some of the light show could be timed, so the band would have to play live to a metronome. But the only thing that I don't understand about that is why the band and the studio version were so in sync. But if they have to play to a metronome, then that makes sense.
Yeah, I think, yeah. I mean, again, apparently that was Matt's response to it. But there could be another reason to it. I'm not too sure.
That would make sense to me.
Just to go back, I think from the top of my head, the reason Richie blocked me, if I'm not mistaken, I think he played like a horse racing. He done a performance at some horse racing show or something like that in Sydney.
Was it the Derby?
Yeah, was it in Sydney or something?
Oh no, it might have been.
Or Melbourne.
He sometimes tweets about going to the Kentucky Derby, which is actually in my hometown.
No, I'm pretty certain that he went to Australia and done like a Melbourne. He played somewhere anyway. But he literally sounded like he was bladdered. Like he sounded, I don't know, he just wasn't making any sense for half the stuff. And I think I just tweeted asking if he was, I don't know, I probably asked if he was drunk or something, or I don't know. It was something, it must have been something bad. But I've got a feeling it was around that time.
Yeah, that's funny. Because I would have looked this show up now because it doesn't spring to mind.
Yeah, I'll try and find
the
it.
Center show that he did.
Don't know.
It was the Les Paul tribute, I think, in 2014 that he did with Orianti.
I don't think it was that.
No, no, not. This is a different show than the one that you're talking about. But this one, he just. Apparently he looked, and I know that he sounded absolutely plastered. He was a mess. Really.
It might, like, it could have even been that one. What I'm gonna do is on my Twitter, I'm gonna type in my name and then his name and see what comes up.
Yeah, see what comes up because I'm curious. It probably was, especially because the tribute show happened in 2014, so they were probably different. Different shows. But that one springs to mind because that was when I first noticed, like, wow, this guy when he's had a few, his performance goes downhill quick.
Well, on here, the top one that comes up was from the 14th of June 2014, and I tweeted, literally everyone is saying that the real Sambora looked absolutely bladdered and or on something. No surprise though, is it? ... So. But I actually tagged him in there. So I think that's why he's blocked me. I think we found it out.
Wow.
Because I can't remember any other interaction from him from then on, to be honest with you.
Wow. That's crazy.
So I think...
And going full circle, that's why I think he needs Bon Jovi.
Yeah.
Because it keeps him on point.
I do, as I said, from 2013 to to the start of 2018, I didn't really care for him, but when I seen him back with the band, I just missed them so much. It was weird. I never imagined to feel like that when I seen them together again. Even the photos the day before the performance when they were first back together, getting inducted, like their little, you know, sign thing, the board. That, like, seeing them together was like, oh my god, they're actually back together.
Oh yeah, it was really legendary. I was the day after the ceremony, I was frantically looking on YouTube for a full recording of it or anything that I could get.
Yeah.
I couldn't wait.
Well,
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I actually stayed up all night for that performance, so I think,
wow.
Yeah, I think it was due on at like 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and I ended up going to bed at about 7 o'clock, something like that.
Oh, did you get a live stream?
Yeah, I got a live stream, yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, so I stayed up literally all night, and I
was going to go.
I went
to only
bed.
5 or 6 hours away from me.
Yeah, well, I went to bed literally on a high, like I couldn't sleep. But just because I just enjoyed seeing them back together so much that I had a bit of adrenaline as I went to bed, to be honest.
It was really great. I still can't. I think When We Were Us was the most impactful performance for me. I think Richie really messed up his solos on everything else.
Well, I mean, I must admit, I only heard the bad solos on It's My Life. The others, I didn't really notice, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but then again,
I think Prayer was okay.
Yeah, I thought Bad Name was, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I liked the speeches as well.
Oh, the speeches, yeah, they were brilliant.
They were.
Yeah.
Howard Stern was funny.
Well, Howard Stern's was great, but I loved like not so much the actual speech, but I said this in episode 9. But when David was doing his speech about the bowling ball, Richie and John, like they're like 3 or 4 people away from each other, but them two like go together and just laughed at it. Literally stand there, almost falling to the floor laughing, and that
really?
And just to see them two like that was just. It was
things like that I miss.
Yeah, honestly, it was.
That's really great.
It was like that. That got me more. Like, you know, the interaction with them, the hugs when they got inducted, and holding each other around like the shoulders, and then, as I said, laughing in the background to each other. But literally, like John was literally like doubled over laughing at David, and him and Richie just started. So. Well, obviously, you have got your shows in the summer then. So, what are your expectations
for the summer?
Yeah, for your shows in the summer.
Oh my God! So as I said earlier, I don't look at. It's going to be hard because it'll be a month into the tour, but I don't look at any set lists from the leg that I'm going to see, because I want to be surprised by any new stuff that might come out. And I'm assuming that you're probably going to tweet about stuff, so I'm going to have to stop looking at your Twitter for that month as well.
Yeah, I mean, I did go through a phase a few years back of trying to not look at the set list, but I think since I got Bon Jovi Talk, I can't help it.
I know, it's going to be really difficult.
Yeah.
Because I won't be able to even just read my Twitter feed without coming across something. But really, I'm going to try, because it paid off when I didn't look at the set list and I got surprised with Lay Your Hands on Me in Nashville.
Yeah.
Even though that was every single night they played it, I saw it for the first time and I had no idea. Like, it wasn't even on my mind. It was inconceivable. So I'm going to try that again. It's difficult because I think the Manics are opening for Madrid and Def Leppard is opening for Munich. And I don't know how much time Bon Jovi will have, particularly at the Munich show, just because Def Leppard is really happen is, you know, Def Leppard plays for an hour and a half. You've got a half-hour wait. Then Bon Jovi comes. Do they? I've always heard John reference that he goes past curfew, but does he actually do this? Do you know?
He not so much recently, but he definitely has in the past. Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that was real or not.
Yeah, no, he definitely.
There were some long shows.
I mean, say for instance on the set list, it could say 10:30 finish, and he finishes at like 20 to 11, quarter to 11. But whether that actually means, so whether their curfew is actually the stadium's curfew, let's say. So the stadium's curfew could be 11 o'clock, but John set himself to 10:30, if that makes any sense.
Right.
So he's going over his curfew maybe, but not actually going over the stadiums. I'm sure he has in the past definitely gone over the stadiums one or the venue's curfew, but yeah, I don't know if he hasn't done it for a while. I don't think, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
He probably can't wait to get off stage now.
I'm sorry?
He probably can't wait to get off the stage now.
Yeah, I know. It makes me so sad.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to a lot of things in Europe. Bon Jovi is not the only reason I'm going, but my girlfriend and I are going, and one of our biggest reasons, our top 2 reasons, is to see Bon Jovi, and so I'm really hoping for something. I really am.
Yeah. Well,
anyway,
sorry, I've got a question for you. Sorry, before I forget it. So, let me see what you think of this. I actually haven't asked anyone on Bon Jovi Talk, so I'll get your opinion first. I don't know if you know of a band called James.
No.
Well, I don't know whether they're just a big band. Well, like a fairly known band in Britain, but basically they're going on tour in the next couple of weeks or next couple of months, and their support act is them. So basically, what they're going to be doing is, for an hour, is playing an acoustic show, and then the main show kicks off straight after that.
I've seen that. There's a band called Hailstorm that's done that fairly recently.
Oh, I've seen Hailstorm before. Yeah, I've seen Hailstorm.
I like Hailstorm a
lot. What do you make of that? Would you like that, or do you prefer the idea of another band playing? Or, so personally, I would love Bon Jovi to do an acoustic hour set before the main set. I would love that.
Actually, I would love for them to bring that back. They did that on the Bounce tour, actually. Some shows in Europe, they did this, and in North America, in the summertime of 2003, they did this. They played about an hour acoustic, and then they did another hour and a half or so electric. And it was a really, really great set list. It was a really nice way to switch things up. I think it helped John warm up more vocally. It was a more relaxed environment. The band were able to talk to each other in the crowd more, so it built up a really nice rapport before they got into the heavier stuff. I think it was a really, really great way to do a show.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I mean, like you're saying there, but that's like the durations for like a normal show. So if they were to play for themselves, let's say, they would be literally playing for 3.5 hours every single night. And an hour of that, I mean, whether it would help John's voice or not, I don't know.
I don't know. In that case, I don't know.
Yeah, but like I would love, I
That'd
would love it. When I heard, like, it was my mate who told me.
Night.
Say it again.
3.5 hours every night. That would be a dream.
It would, I know. But I'd love to hear an acoustic setting again, because I've always wanted them to bring out. I know they brought out This Left Feels Right, and they were meant to bring out an acoustic album, but instead they went with that. But I would love an acoustic album by the band, because I still think like the stripped down versions of some songs that John does are still like brilliant to listen to.
Oh yeah, I agree. I love one that really comes out to me is the interplay between John and Richie when they do Living on a Prayer acoustic.
Yeah.
It's really nice. The Evening with MTV and Evening with is a really cool show to watch because you get to see Lay Your Hands on Me acoustic, which I think is really cool. And in the rehearsal videos, you get to see like Blood on Blood acoustic. You see Bad Medicine and Gloria acoustic. Those I think are really neat, and I would love to see the band do more.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would. Well, obviously, because as you said, you don't really listen to the studio stuff. I'll give you the option. You can either play the snippet game, but do like the studio one, or obviously I haven't got nothing planned for the live one. If you wanted to, or you can do both, but if you wanted to, I could plan a live one and we could do another podcast in the next week or so and do a live, let's say live performances, and you've got to guess the song. So it's basically the same game. I mean, we can try it now, but I don't know how well it would work.
Yeah, it might take a bit. If you want to plan it though,
yeah,
plan one.
Yeah,
I would love to do that, the live performances.
Because what I'll do is, like, I've done it with Andy on episode 9. I actually wrote down what part of the song I was going to choose, because I don't know if you've listened to any of the recent podcasts, but when I've done the snippet game, I usually I don't plan it. I just go to a certain point in the song, but it gives away the song title half the time.
It lands on the chorus.
Yeah. So literally about 2 episodes ago, I chose Fast Cars, and I chose this random part of the song, press play, and John goes, Fast Cars. And I was like, for fuck's sake. I was like, there we go, there's number 1 for you. But it happened with Andy the other day. I wrote down the duration of the song, so it was like 1 minute 51. And I chose the wrong part of the song, and no apologies. The title, John belts out. Literally on the first go, I was like, oh, for God's sake. Even when I plan it, I get it wrong.
Like that song, by the way.
Yeah, I do. It's underrated. No apologies.
I agree. I was even reading the other day that John said that he was shocked at how many people liked that song because he thought it would be the least popular on the album.
Really? Yeah. That's interesting. I like that song. I much prefer it to The More Things Change. Definitely.
Yeah, I like it. I like John's rant in The More Things Change though.
The live shows. Yeah, I like that. The Justin Bieber and Justin Timberlake rant, Lady Gaga. I like that. I did like that. Yeah. I like that, to be honest with you. I'll have to listen to that because I went through a phase of listening to that quite a lot because I thought it was pretty cool. And as I said, I don't really listen to today's music, so it was perfect for me.
Yeah, I agree. And in a lot of cases, I try to find soundboard copies or in-ear monitor copies or FM broadcast copies of songs, so that there's still still a really high quality performance, but you still have that interaction with the crowd and you have the live sound of the vocals and the instruments.
Yeah.
So it's still good quality, but it's got all of those extras, I think, which make it nicer than the studio to me.
Yeah, it definitely does. You know, while I can't think of the last song on the Greatest Hits, there was No Apologies. This is Love, This Is Life. What do you got? That was it.
This is Love. More Things Change. Was there a 5th one?
I don't think so. I mean, I know This Is Our House.
Yeah, that's what it was.
That wasn't on any. That wasn't on my Greatest Hits though.
Yeah, it's a digital thing, I think.
Yeah, but they played that a couple of times live as well.
Yes, they did. You're right. That was a really weird song. I didn't expect to hear that song.
Well, they actually played it twice at a show, the same show.
Yeah, they did in Canada.
Yeah,
I think, in 2010, because they were shooting a video or something.
The music video for it, yeah. So
I have that somewhere.
They played it once and then they played it again. Like it's a strange song, really. This Is Our House. I think it's a bit. I don't dislike it, but it's just a bit weird, I think.
Yeah, I think it's cool, but it just kind of came out of left field.
Yeah.
I want them to do a show just once for my amusement with a house theme. So they play This House Is Not For Sale and This Is Our House and Come On Up to Our House and Homebound Train.
Yeah.
Every road leads home and all this shit.
He loves his house, doesn't he, John?
Yeah. He's very territorial.
I must admit, I'm not a fan of Come On Up to Our House. Out of the songs you listed there, that's the one I dislike.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that one myself. I really like, while we're on the subject of that tune, the only time I've heard that song live is, of course, the shows where they played all of THINFS, and I really liked those shows. And if they were to do that for more albums, I would be really ecstatic.
Well,
the way that John explained the stories and behind each track and everything.
Yeah, as I said, I went to the London show. I was lucky to get tickets to the London show.
They were expensive, weren't they?
Well, I actually got mine through somebody from Bon Jovi Talk, to be honest.
Ah, nice.
I think they won. So my mate had won. My friend had won two, and then this guy had won two. So I think this guy had won four. Sorry. So he gave two to me. So I took my girlfriend, and then my other friend who won, I gave his tickets, or he gave me his tickets, and I gave them to two of my friends. So I was very lucky to go to that show, but I loved it. I must admit, out of the 8 shows I've been to, that's up there as one of my favourites because it was totally different. It was intimate. You got John pretty much breaking down on "All Hail the King." I actually think John he obviously sounded weaker than I'd ever heard him, but he sounded much more solid than he does now. And at the show, I didn't really notice his poor vocals until he played like Bad Medicine, to be honest with you. And I
he
just
was funny.
Oh, he was,
really,
yeah.
they were on point.
Well,
They were fun.
straight away he come out in a good mood. I've always said I can tell.
Yeah.
I can tell when John's going to be in a good mood, and he done this like little joke about being Bruce Forsyth and things
That's
like
what I was
that.
thinking of too.
Yeah, and he was instantly in a good mood, and I was like, yeah, here we go. He's in the zone here.
Yeah, that was definitely a good show. I've got a recording of that show. Not the album is nice, but it doesn't have a lot of the banter.
Yeah, well, I've got the one you're talking about as well, with the speeches and stuff.
Yeah, the radio version.
Yeah, I listen to that more than I do the album version, to be honest.
Oh yeah, I don't blame you. It's really good. It's really. There's also there's one in New York. They recorded the same thing because they played four. They did New Jersey, New York, Toronto, and London for the promo gigs. And they did one in New York, and they streamed all of it. They streamed the whole show, and it didn't even hold a candle to London. And I was like, "Wow, you guys got such good." Because promo shows for Bon Jovi, you never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Really, you could get 5 songs, or you could get 25 songs. You have no idea. And so that was one of the best promos I think they've ever done.
I was just glad. I mean, I must admit, I thought, I know that obviously they played it, like they're still playing it to this day, but when I heard We Don't Run, I thought this is the only time I'm ever going to hear this live. And I love We Don't Run. So to hear that live, I was made up to hear it. And I love that. Like, I don't know if he still does it anymore, but you know when he goes, fire in the sky, thunder in the mountains, and then he shouts,
look out.
Oh God, I love that.
Yes, and it goes into that
the solo. Yeah. I love that little. I wish when they re-released it on This House Is Not For Sale, and it obviously sounded a little bit different at the start. I was thinking, please say he's added that part in, and unfortunately he never. But I absolutely love it live. I don't know what it is. I've just got a connection to that song. It's probably my most played song since 2015. To be honest with you.
Me too. I love that song.
It's just really Bon Jovi for me. It's a Bon Jovi song. It's an upbeat, chart friendly, radio friendly, stadium type song.
Yeah.
It's got Bon Jovi written all over it.
It's territorial again.
Yeah. It is. It's a brilliant song. I think it really is.
I love it. I do a thing every now and then where I'll make compilation performances where I'll take the best performances of certain songs on a certain tour and I'll mix it together so that it sounds like a concert. I do it as a hobby. And sorry, what?
That sounds pretty cool.
It's fun, actually. I really enjoy it, and if there's a demand for it, I'd be happy to release things out on Twitter so people can hear them.
Why don't you send one across and I'll put it on the Bon Jovi Twitter page?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll send one.
Yeah.
I'll have to. It'll take a bit for me to pick which one I like the best.
If you've got We Don't Run, choose that.
Yeah, We Don't Run is where I was going with that was when I made the This House Is Not For Sale one. We Don't Run was the opening song.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that one I think is 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Wow.
And I really change up the set lists and make them more fun.
It would be a great concert opener, that.
Oh yeah, I'd be happy to send it to you.
Yeah, go for it. And as I said, I'll put it on the Bon Jovi Talk Twitter page. Like, I'm happy to promote anything anyone wants, to be honest with you. So send it across and I'll put something up, and never know, you could get a couple of 100 views or so from it. So
yeah, I hope people enjoy it. There's no video to it, obviously. I can't video for shit, but it's a cool show if you want to listen. I'll start uploading them. I think that'd be cool. I think people might enjoy it.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Speaking of promotions, I see that you're releasing T-shirts.
I am. Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, I mean, I've always, for the past 3 or 4 years, I've got on the side, I've got a T-shirt business with a friend. So in my house, I've got a printer and a press. So I do a lot of T-shirts for companies around Liverpool, and I've got it obviously on eBay. I sell a lot of T-shirts and stuff. So me and my mum just sat down the other day, and I was like, no, I've got a Bon Jovi Talk page there, and I've never made a Bon Jovi T-shirt for anyone. Or I think I did a few years ago, but nothing. I've never stuck to it. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to design a couple now. Some of them are pretty, like, some of them were suggestions my mum gave, and some of, like, the I'm slippery when wet for you, John, was one of them. That was, as sick as it sounds, that was my mum's suggestion, unfortunately. But that, like, I just thought, you know what, whatever she said, I'm just going to put it on. One person out of 1,000 might like it, so
yeah,
it's worth doing.
So as a plug for yourself, and also for my benefit, can you describe them? Because I saw that there are pictures, but I can't see them.
Yeah, so I've got a couple. So obviously I'm from Liverpool. Bon Jovi are playing Liverpool in the summer. So there's one called "This Scouse Is Not For Sale." So Scouse is obviously our accent. And with them playing Liverpool, instead of "This House Is Not For Sale," "This Scouse Is Not For Sale." Then I've got obviously that slippery when wet one that I've just told you there. Like things like "John, lay your hands on me," you know, like just things that you'd see like women at the front wearing. What else have I got? "Let's Give Love a Bad Name." John, run away with me. I've got, which seems to be doing quite well actually, "We Were Born to Follow" Bon Jovi, obviously, instead of "We Weren't," of course.
Yeah, I like that.
"Lay Me Down on a Bed of Roses," "I Was Born to Be Your Baby." Just little, as I said, things that you kind of do see at concerts from, like, where fans have bought them off eBay.
Right.
Because I always see, I mean, I haven't made one, but I always see at a show like Mrs. John Bon Jovi, you know, like things like that. So I thought, you know what, I'll just have a little go myself.
I wonder how Dorothea feels about all that stuff.
I know.
Really, because I see this all the time where these girls will be throwing themselves at John in these concerts. I'm like, do you guys know he is married? You understand this? Does it just not cross your mind?
It's mad, isn't it? It's, as you said, what must go through her mind, like that. I mean, I don't know how many women probably would put up with that. Obviously,
oh my gosh,
you know, the interaction he's got with women, or I don't know.
He kisses them pretty frequently in
oh
shows.
God, yeah.
Like that.
Even still to this day, you know, on the last tour, he was like scary, like close with someone the other week, or the other month, should I say? Like it looked a bit creepy, to be honest with you.
How do you mean?
He was just a bit. They looked like they'd met before, if you know what I mean. He looked too. He looked too into it. I don't know. Yeah, he was really like they really staring into each other's eyes and holding each other's hand rather than like he never really holds the hand as such. I don't know. It just seemed a little bit. He seemed a bit too close to this one particular woman. Let's just say.
Wow. Yeah, that's really. I don't know how she does it.
Must be a strong woman, I suppose.
Must be. I mean,
Either that or she.
If I remember correctly, she's a martial arts instructor.
Either that or she's deluded. It's one or the other. It's gotta be.
Well,
I don't know. As I said,
it's hard to pick.
yeah, I don't know how many people will put up. As I said, so.
Yeah, it's admirable.
So what I'm gonna do then, mate?
Admirable or crazy.
I'm gonna plan a live music snippet for you then.
Yeah, let's
so
do it.
when would be best for you? Do you think?
Maybe this time in 2 weeks.
Okay. So
Next week I'll be out of town.
What date would that make it? The 15th?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll write that down in my diary if you want, and on the 15th we'll.
That's so romantic. Thank you. I'm honored. Really flattered.
I've got nothing else to put in my diary, so I've got to make use of it somehow.
Now I feel used.
But what we'll do is like we'll speak a little bit more on the live shows as well, because obviously this is the thing with doing the podcast. Obviously on the first one, because it's so new, you kind of like I'm kind of asking things that pop up into my head. So once I finish this,
of course, it's just a conversation.
Well, that's it. And once I finish this podcast and I re-listen to it, I'll ask myself, oh, why didn't I ask him that question? Or so anything else that I think back on, I'll write down as well.
Yeah, let's chat again. I enjoyed it. This is a really good time.
Well, yeah, and we'll as I said, I'll choose some good songs for you for the music game as well.
Yeah.
So 15th of March it is then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. Sounds good to me.
If the listeners will have me back, it would be my pleasure.
Ah, forget them. I'm only joking.
Fuck no listener.
Probably no one to listen to this, unfortunately. To be honest,
I see you getting views.
Yeah,
I don't know how many people are an hour and 20 minutes in.
Yeah, no, but to be fair, the views have done. I've had a lot of good feedback on the past, I'd say 3 or 4 podcasts. So
yeah.
Yeah, it's it's my birthday next week, so I'm getting a proper microphone and a proper webcam as well, just to make it a bit more professional. So
very nice.
It's definitely picking up, I guess. But I'm still new to it. This is only my 10th time doing it. Do you know what I mean? I've never done anything like this before. So, and to be honest, I'm just happy to speak about Bon Jovi to people. So.
Seriously, I agree.
Yeah, like I'm different.
I want to be honest, so I could just nerd out about Bon Jovi for an hour.
Yeah, I think that's where I kind of have to get that balance. I'm happy to talk, but the listeners want to hear stuff, if that makes sense.
Of course, yeah.
So I've just got to get that balance, but that's going to come with time. I'm happy with how they're going so far. So as I said, fingers crossed to carry on.
Absolutely, I'm enjoying it. So you're doing something well.
Brilliant, thanks very much.
I'm embarrassed that my decent microphone isn't working with Hangouts.
To be honest, there's been no connection problems, no like funny noises or anything for me on this. So whatever microphone you've got now is certainly better than either I've got or what me other guests have got. So.
Hopefully I can improve it. Hopefully I can figure out Hangouts and coax her into letting me use my good one next time.
You've got 2 weeks to sort it.
Yeah.
No, listen.
Knowing my luck, I'll remember about 10 minutes before we actually meet again.
I'll stick it in my diary on March the 14th and give you the day. A day's.
Yeah, flawless. Thank you.
Now I've got 2 days in my diary that are busy.
I know. I feel really privileged.
Now, listen. Thanks very much for coming on and taking your time to have a little chat.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
And as I said, on the 15th, we'll obviously I'll re-listen to this and I'll get some feedback from other people, and whatever they want to ask or whatever they want to hear, I'll ask you, and we'll have a little bit more of a chat before we play the game as well.
I'd love to banter on Twitter or ask anything on the podcast. I'll be around.
Perfect. Right. Thanks a lot, mate. I do appreciate you coming on.
Of course. Thank you.
Cheers.
Yeah, there's your outside noise for you.
I'll speak to you in 2 weeks' time then on here. I'm sure I'll speak to you on Twitter, but I'll speak to you
absolutely
on this in 2 weeks' time then.
Thanks so much. I look forward to it.
Perfect. Thank you, Shane.
Thank you.
See you later, mate. Bye.
Bye.